Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Evelyn Gansglass, and I'm co-lead with the Peace Corps community for refugees. I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Somalia in the 1960s, and I want to welcome you as well to the first of a series of webinars that the Peace Corps community for refugees will be hosting between now and the end of the year. We urge you to use the chat function to tell us what your expectations are, what do you hope to get out of this webinar so that we can try to meet your expectations. Let me start with basics for those of you who aren't familiar with our organization. Our mission is to inspire and mobilize the Peace Corps community to help those seeking refuge in our country and to advocate and educate on their behalf. I hope you appreciate the tightness of that sentence because we really worked at it. We believe that the returned Peace Corps volunteers and their allies have the commitment, adaptability, and cross-cultural skills to make a significant contribution to meeting the refugee resettlement challenge. And that's why we're so excited to have you and others as part of our organization. The purpose of this webinar is threefold. First, we want to talk to you about specific ways in which you can get involved in helping welcome refugees to the U.S. We want to tell you about the kind of help you can get from Peace Corps community for refugees. And very importantly, we want to introduce you to Switchboard, a national one-stop shop of technical assistance resources that are available to anyone at this point related to the newcomer experience. Jason Crislip, International Rescue Committee Senior Director of Learning, will talk about that a little later in the webinar. You're muted, but for the moment, we'll open it up for Q&A. And I suggest that you put your questions in the chat while we're talking, so we can be pretty efficient about all of that. So let me start by telling you that we recently posted an online guide to welcoming refugees on our website. This guide details a wide range of volunteer activities, from short-term one-shot engagements, such as helping set up an apartment for a refugee family or collecting clothing, to somewhat more intensive services, such as helping a family find affordable housing, no mean feat, to helping them get set up with doctors, also easier said than done, and to help enroll children in school. The guide discusses even more in-depth, longer-term activities, such as tutoring a refugee or sponsoring a family through Welcome Corps or through other partnership opportunities provided by refugee agencies. One kind of activity isn't necessarily better than another. It's important to match what you or your group does to what your actual capacity is to follow through. Very often we have great expectations on what we can do. So I guess advice is start small and grow as you have the capacity. The guide provides links to resources on providing transportation, housing, legal, education, and other supports. It also provides examples of what is already being done by the Peace Corps community, and it provides links to numerous government and nonprofit organization resources from which individuals and NPCA affiliates can draw to help them get started. We hope that this first iteration of the online guide will be built upon by individual RPCVs and groups as they take their own actions and share with others, with us and with others, their stories of successes, the lessons they're learning, and additional informational resources that they are finding. The last section of the guide, entitled Sharing Your Stories, Lessons and Suggestions to Improve Our Collective Impact, links to a form through which you can tell us what you're doing. We want to include these little vignettes of what you're doing in the guide and also highlight them later in the year. In addition, we at the Peace Corps Community for Refugees are partnering with a federal interagency work group to provide information about opportunities for paid employment in the resettlement field. This section is still a work in progress, as are the arrangements for simplifying access to jobs in the resettlement community. And this will include the refugee resettlement agencies themselves, federal agencies, and others. Now I'd like to turn the floor over to Ann Baker, my co-chair, to talk about other resources available through our organization. Ann served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Fiji in the 1980s, and as many of you may recall, not so long ago, she retired from NPCA, where she served as vice president of the NPCA organization. So Ann, go ahead and talk about other resources.
All right, thank you very much, Evelyn. It's great to see you all here. Thank you for joining us this evening. As Evelyn said, I'm Ann Baker. I am the co-chair of the Peace Corps Community for Refugees, and I served in Fiji as a Peace Corps volunteer in the mid-'80s, 40 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long already. So just to pick up on what Evelyn was saying, so some of the things that we do at Peace Corps Community for Refugees is we provide information and connections to volunteer opportunities for individuals and for NPCA affiliate groups. We know many of you are already involved in refugee activities, and maybe even not directly through your RPCV organization. Therefore, we want to showcase what individual RPCVs and their country service, geographic, or cause-related organizations are doing to welcome refugees and asylees to our country through our website, our monthly newsletter, social media posts, and convenings such as this webinar. We're also going to provide forums for informal information sharing, problem solving, and peer exchange on refugee-related issues. The first of these informal convenings will be held on October 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern. These conversations are an opportunity to share ideas, ask questions, be inspired, and just connect with others who are working or volunteering with refugees. So just drop on in, very informal, very casual, and everybody is welcome. So here's the schedule. If I can do this right, there we go. Here's the schedule of our upcoming webinars and informal information sharing sessions. So October 21st, we have one focusing on career pathways in the refugee and resettlement sector, co-sponsored with RPCV Nexus. And then on November 18th, an advocacy forum, and December 11th, the Community in Action Showcase. That we really want to hear from you on that. Before that showcase, we want to showcase what you are doing and what others are doing in the community to support refugees and asylees. So please, as we'll also have that link later, but there's a link on our website that you can provide some of that input. The informal Q&As, as I mentioned, those are just an opportunity for you to stop in. There'll be some people there from the Peace Corps Community for Refugees. You can ask questions, you can say what you're doing, you can try to connect with others, and you can make further plans as to how you can engage with the refugee community in your area. So please register for all of these webinars on our site. I know some of you filled this out on a Google form. We now have official registrations on our website. It would be very helpful if you did log in there, because we could also get some more information on you and make sure that we're able to meet your needs and get information out that's relevant to you. So we really do encourage you to stay in touch with us, share your stories, and you are now all on our mailing list, but we can also ask you to share it with others, and we'll also have links later to Facebook and Instagram where you can keep in touch with us as well. So please do stay in touch with us. Here's our website. All I got to remember is PCC, the number 4, and the word refugees.org. It works for our website, our email, our Facebook, and our Instagram. So please do stay in touch with us. So now we're going to take a few time for some questions, and before we turn it over to Jason. So I'm going to stop the sharing of my screen, stop the spotlight. I don't need to be spotlit anymore, and allow you to, let's see, how do I unspotlight myself? Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. I will let you unmute yourselves if you would like to ask a question or have a comment. Feel free to use the raise hand function, which is under reaction.
I think if you go to gallery view, that'll maybe take the spotlight off of you. I don't know.
Well,
No, it's in the, I know where to get it.
Okay.
if you don't have questions now, we can just proceed. Are there any questions from
If you
anybody?
can't find the raise hand, you can also just do the old-fashioned way and raise your hand. Any other
Yep.
questions?
Thanks for introducing yourselves in the chat box and telling us some of your stories. Keep it coming if you want. We're monitoring it throughout.
Okay, so maybe we'll just move on.
Yeah, we
Um,
might have more
yeah.
questions. Yep.
Yeah, if you have questions later on, I'm sure Jason will have a lot of interesting things to talk about. So we're going to turn it over to Jason Crislip. As I said, he's Senior Director for Learning at the International Rescue Committee, IRC. And he's going to talk about Switchboard, which is a really tremendous resource. Jason was a Peace Corps volunteer who served in Ghana from 2000 to 2003. He's worked in the refugee resettlement world for over 21 years, and he's been with the IRC since 2006. In 2018, he launched Switchboard, excuse me. So who better to talk about this helpful resource than the guy who actually started the whole thing? So Jason, we turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Everyone can see my presentation, correct? Okay. Thank you so much for joining. I'm flattered to be invited to this esteemed group. If I could ask for your assistance briefly, and you can do it now or you can do it later, but there's a QR code on the screen if you want to scan that with your phone. Basically, we just like to collect information on how many people attend our events. Our funder likes those things reported. That is also going to give you an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter and to stay in touch with us. I can drop a web link into the chat also once I get through this. Okay. So thank you for that introduction. I am Jason Crislip, the Senior Director for Learning at the International Rescue Committee. And part of my job right now is to oversee our Switchboard grant. It's the biggest grant in my portfolio. And again, as we just heard in my bio, I'm a proud RPCV in Ghana, 2000, 2003. I extended. There's a couple things I want to try to accomplish with you all this evening. And so by the end of this session, I hope you're able to define the Switchboard program and feel equipped to explore our resource library and find resources relevant to you. Some of you may have heard of us before or maybe even access some of our resources. If you have, do you want to do a little hand raise or an old-fashioned hand raise if your camera's on? And just let me know, or is this completely new to you? All right, I see a couple hands up there. Great. So I want to start with just a quick overview of what Switchboard is. This is our first learning objective. We are not, excuse me, we are not a direct service project. Our scope of work is training and technical assistance, or TTA. You'll probably hear me use that acronym all night. We can provide TTA on almost all our funded program areas. And when we can't, we can refer people to other TTA providers for areas that are out of our scope. And really at this point, that's just unaccompanied children and survivors of torture programming. I want to show you a very brief video. It's just about a minute and a half that will give you a little more info about what we do and how we do it.
Do you support refugees and other newcomers in the U.S.? Is it hard to find learning resources to help navigate the resettlement experience? Whether you're a seasoned professional or brand new to your role, Switchboard can help. We are a one-stop resource hub for the resettlement community in the United States. We make it fast, easy, and flexible to get help tailored to your needs. We offer live and self-paced training,
Our team needs training on community outreach.
customized learning resources,
Can you send me multilingual health videos?
peer-to-peer communities of practice,
What case management database do you use?
case consultation,
Our agency is working with a family of 6.
research,
What mental health interventions are most effective?
You can access these learning resources for free anytime via Switchboard's website and mobile app. Visit www.switchboardta.org and sign up for our newsletter to learn more. Together, we can help build capacity across the resettlement community and help refugees and other newcomers thrive.
Okay, and I will put up some links once this is over into the chat that you can link directly from there to sign up for a newsletter or to explore our website. I should note, when we first started, our mandate from the Office of Refugee Resettlement was to provide training and technical assistance exclusively for agencies and organizations that are funded by ORR. That is no longer the case. Our mandate has expanded to provide training and technical assistance to anyone working with ORR eligible populations, and that includes your group. So don't be shy. We can help you with about anything you may need. I wanted to get into a little bit more about what we do. Our team has expanded immensely in the last 3 or 4 years. We're now about 40 staff members. When we started, we were 4. It's me and one other original person is still on board. Our team is made up of resettlement professionals, social workers, educators, individuals who have lived the refugee experience firsthand. And we strive to produce learning resources that are informed by real-world expertise and a deep understanding of the unique strengths and challenges of displaced people. Our team has in-house experience in monitoring and evaluation, mental health, case management, employment, community integration, education, cultural humility, and child and family services. In addition to those topic areas, we have expertise in instructional design, creating sustainable partnerships, compliance, and even research. We're also guided by an advisory panel that is made up of service providers with lived experience of forced displacement. This panel meets regularly to advise on topics of client voice, including challenges and areas for growth, to inform our learning opportunities and resources across our work. I also wanted to note the people that work with us. Switchboard is committed to the principles of gender, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we emphasize representation and balance of voices and experience across all our work, including prioritizing lived experience in recruitment for staff, independent consultants, and subaward partners. We require all our staff to complete diversity training with dedicated training for supervisors and provide training on topics including race and racism, cultural awareness, gender sensitivity, spiritual inclusion, and serving LGBTQIA clients. Additionally, we don't work alone. We work with various partners and subawards to help us meet the TTA needs of a rapidly changing resettlement landscape. So we currently have 7 subaward partnerships, and we also have some formal and informal partnership with other groups. I'll show you them in a moment. Partnering is one way that we can ensure that the TTA we provide is diverse, inclusive, and equitable. Partnering also helps us avoid duplication and make the best use of available resources as the number of TTA providers grows. Our partnership help us to provide TTA on additional resettlement topics that we don't have expertise in, such as newcomer health, housing, ethnic and community-based organizations, and even legal and immigration-related topics. Just taking a moment here to acknowledge some other organizations and programs that I haven't mentioned yet, but who Switchboard and its subawardees also partner with formally and informally. I can share more about those relationships later if there are questions. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can engage with Switchboard. And I wanted to note that we have a listserv right now of over 12,000 professionals serving refugee clients. We're happy to have you included in that number. We've got over 1,200 individual resources in our resource library, and that's growing. And additionally, we typically offer 1 or 2 or more public webinars per month. Anyone can attend those. To access our TTA resources yourselves or refer anyone that needs to go there to our site, you're welcome to do that. And I wanted to show you some of the types of resources that we commonly have available. We have webinars, in-person trainings, public and private, instructor-led certificate courses, communities of practice, e-learning opportunities that are self-paced. We have videos, podcasts, other multimedia resources, blog posts, and other written resources like information guides, tools, and toolkits. A lot of research products, including evidence summaries, our own research studies, and a vast evidence library. I think there's 400 entries in that library. And we provide customized training and technical assistance. And I can tell you a little more about that in a moment. I realize we're all muted, but if any, and I can't even see the chat at the moment, but I was curious if anyone has any thoughts, even right now with the work you're doing or hoping to do, if you have any training topics that you think would be helpful related to what you're doing. And maybe you can even think about that for a moment. And I will dive in and show you some examples. Maybe we can save that conversation for the Q&A. Okay. This is a list of our overarching topic areas. So it's anything from, case management to health and housing. Obviously, housing is a big one. Mental health and wellness, emerging technology and digital inclusion. We actually have a whole department now within Switchboard looking at emerging technology and how that can be applied to the resettlement landscape. And that's anything from using artificial intelligence for translation and interpretation. We've got a suite of virtual reality videos that we're hoping to use in cultural orientation classrooms, both overseas and in the US. But this is sort of the overall topic areas that we have. I won't do this just yet, but I want to give you a preview of the website. And if we do have time after, I could do a quick tour just to show you how easy it is to find things. But you can see there's a global search bar on every page. So if you're looking for something very specific, you can type it in there and likely find it. If you just want to browse resources or learning opportunities, there's buttons there for that. And there's also this button for technical assistance where you can actually ask us for something very specific, and we'd be happy to help you. I did want to take a moment and just spotlight a few of our most popular topic areas right now. So starting with case management, here's just 4 examples, again, from our resource library of over 1,000 individual pieces. We have archived webinars about mandatory reporting for refugee service providers, an archived webinar about trauma-informed care, a public benefits tool. It's an overview for refugees and other humanitarian immigrants. Here's a video about adjusting to life and work in the US, and that's done as advice from clients to their case managers. We have a lot of materials about mental health and wellness. We have a guide for psychological first aid. Again, an old webinar, balancing the needs, the demanding needs of case management, an evidence summary that looks at what works to improve mental health of children and adults. There's a whole e-learning suite about suicide prevention in resettlement, asylum, and integration settings. Looking at education, again, a webinar about higher education, specifically for Afghan newcomers. I think many of you are probably working with that population or will be. A blog post about welcoming newcomers and helping them access government-funded adult education programming. A guide about enhancing community college services for refugees and immigrants. A blog post is very niche, is very specific, but there was a large audience for it, and that is specific to people looking for jobs with backgrounds in aviation. I think a lot of our Afghan population came with that background. Plenty of things about employment. There's a blog post that really serves as a roadmap for employers that may be hiring Afghan newcomers, an e-learning suite about strengths-based approach to job readiness, a very large, very extensive toolkit about employment authorization documentation. Can be a very complicated issue. This seeks to simplify it. Another video about adjusting to work in the US, but this one specifically perspectives from refugee women. Diving into identity and inclusive services, There's a webinar about LGBTQ plus responsive programs for unaccompanied refugee minors, a podcast about gender sensitive programming, about innovative ways that newcomers are using technology, a guide about faith-based healing for Afghan Muslims, etc. Cultural awareness, there's a great blog post. This one's a couple years old, but we've done more updates to it recently, about clients that are observing clients observing Ramadan. We even have a guide for employers or how to talk to your employer about Ramadan and your needs as a client. As e-learning specific to welcoming Afghans. There's actually a shopping list of traditional Afghan ingredients for Ramadan, a video specifically focused on the Afghan newcomers. Financial capability, another huge topic, an evidence summary about programming for financial literacy, about navigating personal finance and avoiding scams. It's something we hear from our funder a lot, so we went ahead and did a webinar about that. A collection of resources about financial empowerment, and a guide to promoting your client's financial well-being. Housing, I know, is a very important issue right now. We've got a blog post about emergency rental assistance programs, tip sheets about school enrollment for students who may be in temporary housing, a webinar about housing, disaster relief, and homelessness programs for immigrants, a toolkit designed to help you create a welcoming landlord network. So if any of you are working to help people secure housing, that could be a very useful resource. So I had mentioned that we do offer tailored training and technical assistance. Again, before that was for a very specific group, but now it is open to anyone working with OR eligible populations. And this could be anything. If you're looking for something on our website, you're not quite finding it, or you just want us to help you to make a list of useful resources on a specific topic, you can ask for that. If you have a great idea, or you've identified a gap for a new tool or resource, we can work with you to create something. Oftentimes we do virtual meetings or telephone consultations to help narrow down what it is you're after. In some cases, we can develop and deliver virtual or in-person training. So once we receive requests, we assess our capacity to respond. And again, right now we are very well resourced. We have a very large team. We're not turning anybody away. We may make you wait a few days, but we're going to make sure you get what you need. We try to prioritize requests where as many providers will benefit as possible, and where that learning is likely to be put into action. As needed, if we don't have the subject matter expertise in-house, we will seek it out. We have funds to do that. I should mention all of this is free of charge to anyone who comes to us for assistance. Okay, so I hope that we achieved our learning objectives, that you're now able to define the program and feel equipped to access our resource library. And again, we can take a moment to look at that website if there's time. I do want to open it up to Q&A. And before I even do that, I want to put this slide up, just reminding you all how to find us. The website is switchboardta.org. You can contact us. There's an email address there. You can send us an email. You could submit a technical assistance request. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page. We have Twitter or X. You can reach us any of those ways. Going to open up the chat and see what I may have missed. And I'm also going to take a moment.
So Jason, there's just one question from Cindy about the cost of buying and maintaining an automobile, suggested topic.
You know what? Let me stop sharing this presentation and actually go to the website. I would not be surprised if we have something already.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me do a screen share of my browser and show you all how easy it is to navigate our website. Okay, let's see if I'm right. I'm just going to say owning a car. Of course, it's going to be slow now when people are watching. Okay, here we go. Okay, we do have a few things. We have something about preparing for winter weather, vehicle and transportation safety. Okay, maybe we don't have anything on that. That's easy to do. I'm going to make a note of that actually. Or this could be a good way for someone to try and send us a training and technical assistance request. So if you wanted to do that, you would just go to technical assistance We're just going to ask a few qualifying questions. Do you work in the US? Yes. Do you receive funding from ORR? It doesn't matter. It used to matter. It doesn't matter. So you can just say no. Let us know what populations you're working with. I'm not going to submit all the way, but I'll just show you how this would work. So I'm going to say I work with refugees. Okay, there it is. Okay. What topic best fits your request? We could say I mean, let's say case management. But I mean, this is where you would just tell us everything that you're looking for. There's a drop down for the type of thing you're looking for. So in this case, you might say, provide guidance on how we could help you or support a new product. We ask if it's related to Afghan newcomers because that was a separate funding stream for a moment. So there's a few questions you're not going to know why we're asking you, but trust me, we don't ask anything that we don't really need to know.
I would just add, it's not just buying a car, it's insurance and everything that goes with it.
Correct. I had mentioned, since I just accidentally landed on this page, I should mention, I told you about the virtual reality things that we're doing. We've actually completed a suite of 360-degree videos. You could use a virtual reality headset, but you can also just watch this on a screen or on a phone. Okay, I need to sign up for that. I'm not going to do that right now. But you can actually watch it on your screen or on a phone and sort of drag the image around so that you can look all around. It's quite an immersive experience. I'll stop there for a moment and see if there's any more questions either in the
Yes,
chat
Jason,
or...
we have a question from Richard. It seems to access your information with the QR code, we must enter a credit card.
That is no. There's something wrong there. Let me double check that QR code, which I did earlier. Hold on. No, it should be it should be a very straightforward, just asking your name, basically. But I'm going to triple check that right now with my own phone.
Well, while you're doing that, Jason, it occurs to me that when we develop our hopefully strong community of practice among the Peace Corps groups, that we could identify some topics that really come out of the informal conversations, and then reach out to you to perhaps do a session or figure out how to do group technical assistance. So that's a real opportunity as we
Yeah.
grow.
100%. And if you need any assistance or could use any guidance on how to set up and operate a community of practice, that's also something we could help with. We've done that for other organizations. I just went to that QR code and I'm not seeing anything like that. I'm just seeing the collector where we just ask for first name, last name, email, state, and if you would like to receive the newsletter. It's possible that you may have clicked on a link at the bottom that goes to the SurveyMonkey company that we use to do these surveys that may be prompting you to purchase it, but you shouldn't. No, we're not collecting any information like that. Do not put a credit card information in there if you're seeing that.
Okay, and we have a question from Paul. Aside from refugee services providers, do you know if many individual refugees themselves access your website? That's a great question, Paul.
Yeah, it's possible, but this website is designed pretty much exclusively for service providers and not for refugee clients themselves. Everything is in English. There's not a whole lot of refugee-facing materials here. But if that is something you're after, and I can drop this link into the chat right now, since you asked, this is another program that is within my purview. It's called Settle In. And this is client facing, this is refugee facing, and it is available in English, Arabic, Burmese, Dari, Kinyarwanda, Pashtun, Russian, Spanish, Swahili, and Ukrainian right now, in addition to what you could get from just a web browser translation. But let's say you wanted to learn, actually, here is where I probably do have information about cars. I don't forget I said that, but this stuff is for clients, directly for clients. Settle in.
Okay, great.
There's also a mobile app for that as well. But yeah, but everything on Switchboard is designed specifically for service providers and not for clients.
Okay. Jane is asking, how can I find groups working with refugees in my particular geographical area?
That's a good question. There used to be, I don't think it's online anymore simply because of the current climate, but there used to be a government website that would show you where all the resettlement agencies were in a specific area and their contact information. At the moment, I don't think it's as easy to find as that. One thing you could do is you could just email us, and I'll show you how to just contact us that way.
Well,
I think it's just on the bottom page. You can email us and ask us, and we would be happy to tell you.
can I just add, in the guide that I mentioned, there is a map
Oh, perfect.
that is produced by the federal government that provides the links to the refugee agencies. So there are 10 or maybe it's 11 now, nationally designated agencies, but each of those has a whole network of folks. And it's really when you get down to the network of folks that you then find out who the community partners are as well. So there's no easy one stop, but we got down as far as we could. So you can get to the federally designated agencies and then their partners in communities. And then, from there you can find out who the other groups are, volunteer groups or nonprofits, working, with different populations.
Excellent. I wanted to point out one feature on our website, and that's the events tab, and you'll find a calendar here with everything that we are either hosting or cross-promoting for other groups. And again, you'll see it's a pretty packed schedule. I mean, but even for October, I'm sure there's quite a number of things on there. Maybe not just yet. You know why? It's the end of the fiscal year. But typically a month for us looks like that.
So Jason, we could, like for our upcoming rest of webinars, we could get them onto your calendar as well? Is that what you meant by that?
If it's designed for other folks to access, it would belong there. But if it's more for this closed group of returned Peace Corps volunteers working with refugees, it may not make sense to put here.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because I wanted to give me a minute to look something up. I feel like I recently saw a guide like what you were asking to about finding people working with refugees in your area. I just need to look this up.
While you're looking for that, Evelyn, you want me to show the page on our guide on our website?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let me give me a minute to pull that site up.
Okay. I'm also, while you do that, I'm just going to drop in the chat this, which is it's from the Refugee Welcome Collective, and it's a state resource map. So you could look at a state level and see what the resources are for your area. So that's going to give you contacts for the state refugee coordinator, the state refugee health coordinator, and where there are local resettlement offices. But again, it just says, I just clicked Ohio and it says Ohio has resettlement offices in 6 counties, but it does not list them. And again, it's just because of the current climate and potential bad actors, unfortunately.
So here, let me share our website here. So this is our homepage, Peace Corps Community for Refugees. And so we have this link over here to the guide. And so this is where the guide sits on our website. And that section is, let's see.
Whom do I contact? Here's the map.
Aha, yes.
And so this, you see the little color coding at the bottom here. It tells you all the different agencies and where they are and where they're working throughout the country.
Yeah, it looks like I had heard 10. I think it is 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I recently learned that I think it was the Nebraska Lutheran Social Services was working in Iowa. So it's not necessarily obvious always who's working where.
Mhm.
This map is as close as we could get. But you know, if there are more, we'll include more as we get other ones as well.
It may be hard to find some of these too because they're listing them by their sort of parent organization, and a lot of these agencies work with an affiliate model. So, for
Yep.
example, USCCB, it might be locally, it might be Catholic Charities, for example. So it might be a little tricky to find.
So we will continue to, I'll look at the thing that you just put in the chat as well. And maybe we can add to it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, Jason, and we had one more question from Randy. Can you access Settle In through Switchboard?
I believe there is a link. Let me double check that before I promise that, because they're two separate funding streams, so we keep them separate, but they're both administered by the IRC. So I think that we do cross promote sometimes. You cannot get there directly from our site. I will drop that link in the chat as well, though.
Yeah, I think you did put it in the chat.
Okay.
www.settlein.us.org.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah, that's in the chat. Yep.
Mhm.
And we will include a link to that as well.
Sure, please do.
That's new to me.
There you go. Time to update it.
Time to update it continually, which is a good thing. Okay, any other questions on that before we move on? Just we want to do a little promotion ourselves. If any of this seems interesting to you, and I assume it does, we'd love to have you join our team. We welcome all volunteers to work with our advocacy team, our communication, membership, and partnership teams. And we can tell you about what the different groups do. We need people with all kinds of talent and interest, from writing, from advocacy, etc. Quite honestly, at this time, we are urgently seeking volunteers with website and data management expertise. So we would love to hear from you if you're interested in working with us, or if you know of other people who are, because the more volunteers we get working centrally, we can provide resources to you and in your communities. So let us know again at the same website, info@peacecorps-community-for-refugees.org. And as a reminder, excuse me, please sign up on our website. I guess you already did. You were signed up because you signed up for this webinar, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and look for our monthly newsletter and other postings. And we are going to be posting the recording of this webinar on our website, and we'll be doing that for the other ones that are coming up each month as well. And with that, if there aren't any other comments, I want to thank Jason for his presentation and for joining us tonight, and for all of you as well. We hope to see you next time as well. So thank you for this session.
Thank you.
And can I add
Thanks
one
for
more
coming.
thing? We would love to get some other information on what some of you shared in the chat, what you're already doing. And if you could share that with us through our website, that would be really awesome. So let me just show you where you can find that. Let me get back to the website here. And I will share my screen one more time. Okay, so this is again the guide, the resource guide. And the last section here says sharing your stories, lessons, and suggestions to improve our collective impact. And so in here, there is, see the little button at the bottom that says share your input. So if you could, that would be really great. We do want to start collecting how the Peace Corps community is having an impact with refugee resettlement here in the US.
And we have some guiding questions, but if you don't answer all of them, that's okay too. We just want to get started with this. So thanks again, everybody. Until we meet again.
Okay,
Thanks for having me.
bye.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.